It's a great honour and a privilege to be asked today to speak to this conference with such a variety of renowned and excellent speakers, full of enthusiasm and love for God, which is coming through in the conference. So it's a pleasure to be asked. For those of you who don't know me, my name is John Mallon. I'm the other half of Sancta Familia Media based in Scotland, along with my cousin Brian Anthony Timmins, who isn't here today, but sends on his good wishes for the conference. It's something that today I hope to talk about very briefly is how Sancta Familia came about. And hopefully by the end of the conference and the end of this short talk, you'll have maybe some encouragement from our example of what we did to maybe do something yourself. And you might have any questions at the end and how we could help or advise you to do that. So you might be asking, Sancta Familia, where on earth did that name come from? Well, my cousin Brian and I attend Holy Family Parish in Moss End in the Diocese of Motherwell, and that is the Latin name of our parish, Sancta Familia. We just chose that simply because we wanted to have a distinction between our activities and the activities of the parish. But that's where we started. We had a common love for film. We loved filming things, making wee short documentaries and stories. And it was our parish priest, Father Jim Grant, who drafted us in essentially to do some filming for the parish and promoting the parish on the website. This was around 2014, 2015. But not long before that, not long after, he decided he wanted to have a Facebook page set up for the parish. And that's where really we started building up to where we are today, because from there, people recognised that the work was of good quality. It was capturing an aspect and a beauty of the church that we have in our lovely parish of benedictions and masses. And more people tuned in. The page got bigger and bigger and bigger very, very quickly as more wanted to see our content. So we decided to branch out a bit more, and other parishes were asking us to do other things. They were asking us to film their events and film their ordinations, their weddings, etc. And that increased our workload, so much so that we both had to quit our respective jobs. Now, as a wee bit of a background, I have no training in film work, no training in directing or social media. My degree was actually in modern languages at the University of Glasgow. So it was really just a hobby. But it got so much so that the hobby had to give way to the job I was doing. I was doing other jobs, and the time just wouldn't work out. But because of the fact that we're getting so many requests to do work, we decided, Brian and us and myself, in December 2016, that we would stop. We would say that we would leave our jobs and give it a go, because we're young. I mean, now I'm 30, I don't feel as young, but I definitely felt that we could give it a go. I was 25 at the time. So we did it. We started up. We broke off from our jobs. We set up as a business partnership, and with the idea of commissioning ourselves to do work in Catholic parishes and other events. And since then, the work has just continued to fly in. It's been great. We have covered every diocese in Scotland and beyond, some in England and some in Ireland as well. But one of the things which has happened is that we became very, very close working with the bishops in Scotland, who have realised the potential of our media apostolate in presenting the beauty and the truths of our Catholic faith to contemporary Scotland. And that led us to get involved in our first big event, you could call, was in 2018, and it was the Rosary Around the Coast, which took place around the entire coast of the United Kingdom. We were heavily involved in the media promotion of that, with videos and endorsements from bishops, including the Holy Father, Pope Francis himself, who endorsed that event. And it was a tremendous success. 45,000 people prayed the Rosary that day around the UK. I think it was wet in England. It was rather sunny and nice up here in Scotland as it is today. I guess the sun shines in the righteous. But it was a wonderful event. It brought the entire UK together. Catholics came out in forth, and it showed that we could celebrate our faith as a family and not be ashamed. And that's kind of a rationale for this event, to do that. And it's continuing on. The legacy of that is that we still have these Rosary rallies, and we're having one for May. But that experience and that success of that visit, thank God, led bishops to consider us as the go-to people to help promote the next big thing that happened the year after, which was for us in Scotland, was the visit of the relics of St. Therese of Lisieux. And that was just an amazing thing to be there, to follow her around the entire country, to see the enthusiasm, just like what happened in England 10 years prior, the same enthusiasm for the faith, young and old people coming out to ask and plead for the intercession of this little French saint, and just soak up the atmosphere and be Catholic. And really, that is where our apostolates come in to that fold. We have been at the forefront of covering these events. We, as I said at the start, haven't been trained. We're building up as we earn money from commissions and different jobs. We save up, we buy better cameras, we buy better equipment, learn the software, learn from mistakes. We're not perfect, we make mistakes. And it's a wonderful thing. You know, we built a studio in our parish in Moss End, which we use to do interviews, we do Sancta News, and that was us up until the start of 2020, where things took a strange turn for everybody because we had the pandemic and we weren't sure where we were going to end up, given that all our work, if you so to speak, was through events in the church, and those were all cancelled. You know, the church had to sadly shut its doors for the protection of everyone, and we were concerned that our work might have dried up. Our diary was looking empty anyway at the start of 2020, so we weren't sure what was going to be happening, but we trusted in God, we continued to pray, and well, the church went digital, and we were ready for that to happen. We had our live streaming equipment. We built up that even further since, but we had that in place to broadcast from the National Shrine for Lady of Lourdes in Carfin, and thousands joined in the masses there online, and it kind of kept a vital lifeline for people when they couldn't go to the churches and pray. That option was there for us. But one of the things which we think is important when live streaming, and that's coming up more and more, is it's not just having a camera there. Yeah, a lot of people don't have the technical know-how or the money to do it. We've invested a lot of money, and that's something I'd like to emphasize in this talk, is that we have over time put a lot of time and money, both in equal measure, into getting to where we are and learning the skills that we have. And that has allowed us to present the masses that we do in a way which reflects theologically and also aesthetically the beauty of our Catholic faith, which is so important. One of the things that really brought home to us this year is I've had personal loss, so has Brian, and there's not been funerals. And we're just watching just now the funeral of Prince Philip, and you see how important it is to have good camera work and have good aesthetics to bring the service and the beauty and the truths of our faith to people's homes. And we've been doing that this year for people every day with their funerals. We've been filming family funerals all across Scotland, and none more so than the passing of, very sad, shocking passing of our Archbishop Philip Tartaglia. And if you go to our YouTube page, if you're not aware, you can see the highlights we took of that funeral. And that was a nerve-wracking experience because there was so many thousands of people tuning in to watch that funeral, and we knew that it was only two of us, and if a camera cut out or the internet cut out or the phone signal cut out, then those people were relying on seeing that because there was only 20 allowed in the church. So that was in January this year. It was tremendously nerve-wracking, a fantastic help to my post-Christmas diet, filming that funeral, a Requiem Mass, but it was really worth it in the end. I felt honoured to be there. It was very moving, having known and worked with Archbishop Philip Tartaglia during that time. We were active for the last 5 years. To now having being there and streaming his funeral, you know, it really was moving. And the feedback we've got from that is that it helped people who knew him and couldn't be there as well. And my hope is that, you know, reflecting on that, going forward beyond the pandemic as well, we will continue this ethos that we have as a media apostolate, that the work that we do should bring at least souls back to Christ, and that's by presenting the beauty and the truth of the Catholic faith. People have invited us on here to talk because we think we're perhaps a good example of Catholic apostolate, media apostolate. We leave that for other people to decide. We leave that in God's hands. What we do is we take the faith that we believe in so profoundly and share it online in an authentic way. And it might only be that throughout the course of our career doing this, one person turns back to the Catholic faith or reconsiders the Catholic faith or joins the Catholic faith. And for me, that would be a success. That would be something that would make me feel fulfilled. But we never will know the fruits of what we do. But we continue to do it every single day, late nights, morning, noon, and night, posting, sharing, being open to people to discuss and engage, being there for them if they want advice. And that's where we are. I don't have a plan. We're obviously going on to the questions in a few minutes' time. A lot of people ask me about where do you see Sancta Familia going. To be honest, I don't know where we're going next week. Your diary doesn't work that way. The nature of we call it a vocation, and some of the bishops have been advising us, have been agreed that it is a vocation, and that is the essence of it. There is this uncertainty, this element of going into the deep and not knowing what will come out. But if you put everything for God, then the path in the future is certain that it will be good, however that turns out. So we're hoping that after the pandemic, Sancta Familia can continue to be part of the renewal of the church, this new evangelization, which is still ongoing. And we're very mindful of Pope Francis's call, especially that moving scene in St. Peter's last year and last Easter, when he stood alone in St. Peter's Square and in a most beautiful sermon delivered the fact that all the certainties of the world, I can't remember the exact quote, but all our certainties are washed away by the pandemic. And I think this has left fertile ground for us to re-evangelize the United Kingdom and the world to the way of faith, where it is the only certainty, and that's got us through this year and this tough period, is our faith. So for me, I hope to be part of this post-pandemic future in the church in Scotland and beyond, encouraging people that, it might sound counterintuitive, but encouraging people that we're not just a digital church, although we're having a digital conference at the minute, that we have to have access to the sacraments. We have to receive our Lord in communion. We have to go to confession. We have to be as a body together. And that is something which I think hopefully we can be a part of going forward, allowing people to realise that the church is there, the church is safe, the church is a place where we as one family are all welcomed. And that would be my hope. And ask, this is a wrap up, this very short talk about Sancta Familia. I ask that you pray for us, you pray for our apostolate, you ask that the Lord continues to bless our vocation as we see it, and hope that we are stable going forward, able to build on the success we've had over the last 5 years. And if you have any questions in the next 10 minutes or so, if you want to go to the next talk, that's fine. I'll be here for the next 10 minutes to answer any questions. And also, if you want to check out any of our stuff, you can see our Facebook page, which is Sancta Familia. It's one of the largest in the UK. It should come up on the top of the searches. Or you can see our YouTube page, which is Sancta Familia Media, which is growing at this minute. I think it's something like 8,500 just now. Mainly funerals around, but we do other content as well. So check those out, and we'll now go over to the questions. Thank you, Brendan, for that very nice comment, and thanks again for asking us on here. It's very kind. I'm seeing interesting. I just actually noticed the comments at the side here. Thank you, Maria, for your comment. You do inspirational work as well, and looking forward to your talk. Your content and Peter's filming is absolutely top notch, and I'll be absolutely looking for help with the new camera that I got, because I don't know how. I think that's something you got to take in, is that we don't know all the answers. We're just trying to work our way through things, and get better and better for the greater glory of God. That's my aim, and it's also a hobby, so it comes together. Thank you, Sarah, for that lovely comment, and I prayed for your Buddhist friend as well. I'm glad she's blown away. I hope she's blown away in a good way. Thank you, Dan, for that comment. Yeah, the interview series was really good, fun last year. It really helped me on a personal level get through the pandemic, which has helped. It just helped see how people were, and you're socially isolated in your house last year, just talking to people, Dan, last year helped me in a great way to realise that we're all in that together, and it helped. I like how you're calling it calm. It certainly isn't calm. And I haven't touched any of the whiskey behind, so don't worry about that. No, it's been good. It's good. And hopefully one day, God willing, we'll all be able to meet in person together and share a glass or two in a more laid back, non-digital environment. not that I'm against digital aspects of things, but I'm just glad the internet stayed through. We've had some problems here recently with different things with the connection, so it's good that it stayed on, which is excellent. But if there's anyone out there watching and they want to do their own thing, I just see a question from Dan there about Joe's faith. Yeah, regarding Joe's faith, this is for those who are watching about that. This is about a young boy who lived in our diocese and was a very faithful young man, very spiritual man. Died age 17 very suddenly of a rare heart disease. He wrote a diary during his life with many of his spiritual thoughts, which wasn't discovered till after his death. And yeah, Dan's included a link for Joe's story there. Now, the bishop asked us last year, asked his friends and family and those who were devoted to him to start devotional nights. This was 2 years ago now, actually. And that's been increasingly very, very popular across the diocese and beyond. People have been praying to Joe for his intercession, inspired by his example. And there's a committee now in place, and that committee, I believe, are formulating some sort of document, compiling all the testimonies and the witnesses in devotion to young Joe and people who claim he's interceded for them. So we're hoping that perhaps maybe, just like Sister Claire's cause in Ireland, that maybe perhaps one day Joe's cause will start in Scotland. Catherine Wilcock asked, what is the name you mentioned? Sanctum. I think you mean our name of our media apostolate. It's Sancta. This webcam is right next to the keyboard, so sorry about the big hand. Someone's wanting here. What's this? Hello. I think if Alexina wants to ask a question. I can't see you. Can I hear you okay? You can speak? I'll just unmute you. So I hope that answers your question, Catherine. On that, you can Google it. On our YouTube and Facebook, you can see our content. Different content right now. You might find a lot of it are funerals because our YouTube's been used for that at the minute. Different feeds, but there's other content on there as well, and more widely on our Facebook page. Good question, Brendan. I like it. Non-Catholics are very, very intrigued to learn about confession. I found that really strange. There's a mystique about confession, which people who are not Catholic or maybe haven't been to the Catholic Church think it's a box of secrets. But you'll find that when you try and demystify it in a way to help, our aim is primarily to help Catholics learn about the confessional, take away some of that angst they might have. And you'll find that non-Catholics are really interested in that, as well as information about the Eucharist and other how-to videos. One of our most popular videos was a guide to, this was over 4 years ago we did that now, but it was over a guide of how to enter a Catholic church, very simple, and it just kind of broke down those barriers for people who were maybe nervous about entering a Catholic church. So that was one of the most popular ones we ever did, and it went viral. That was our first viral video. So Tom's saying he managed a social media evangelization account named Millennial Catholics. Right, I'll be sure to check that out. Can you tell me if that's on is that a YouTube or a Facebook page? I think I do count as a millennial Catholic. I've just turned 30, so I guess I'm in that bracket. So, Yeah, of course, if you want to highlight as well any of your channels on Sancta Familia, we are more than happy to share content out. People ask us to do that, and we're more than happy to do that. I think we've got something like 64,000 followers online now, so we're happy to spread that around and encourage people to check out other pages. Oh, good. I've never actually used TikTok. I do want to do it. I just try and get time to do it. But maybe at some point soon we'll be venturing on TikTok. So I'll need to check that. I do have the app, but I've never actually started a TikTok channel. I guess I probably should, given that's where current trends are moving towards as well. So any advice, Tom, on that would be recommended on how to function and use TikTok. That'd be fantastic. Very, very good to know. We just stick to the Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at the minute. So yeah, send us a message on the Facebook or email. I can put that in just now. You can send us any details you want to share. Here's my hands. That should be our email address there. You can just drop us a line, and anyone who's watching or just maybe isn't writing a comment can drop us a line on there as well, and we can take something forward to do that. We're also starting very sadly, because of the pandemic, the Catholic Observer, the newspaper here, collapsed. So we're starting a venture, which we have done, with Brian presenting Sancta News, which aims to present Catholic news stories in a fair, non-biased way, which you don't often see in the secular media, unfortunately. So we're trying to blend international Catholic stories and local Catholic stories in short segments once a week just now, hopefully to increase that. So that's something we're hoping to do going forward. You can check those out as well, once again, on our Facebook and YouTube, which is excellent. I think this is Brendan coming in here. Let's click the add button. Okay. Hi, Brendan.
Hey, right. I just thought I'd butt in and interfere to ask a question.
Go for it. Why not?
So what I've always admired about Sancta Familia is this. It's of the church. It's faithful. It's orthodox, but it's engaging. It's relevant. It kind of reminds me of this Catholic adage of ever ancient, ever new. One of the tensions I have as a Catholic who's in the kind of communication space is that you kind of are preaching to the converted in a certain sense. There's that kind of formation and making sure that you're kind of speaking in the ad intra to like to Catholic space. And then there's the speaking beyond the kind of Catholic. So your content has done both. And how do you navigate? Do you find sometimes you're just kind of only preaching to the converted or only kind of out in the world? And how do you navigate that tension?
There is tension there. And I think when you are talking about, for example, one of the more trickier issues of the Catholic faith in terms of its sexual teachings, for example, which a lot of Catholics sadly don't appreciate fully. I think we are trying to educate those Catholics by referring to the Catechism and what the Church teaches. You will find that some people who are not Catholic pile on with uninformed opinions, which is fine. I mean, we pride ourselves on having a very big page, but also a very stable page in terms of we don't have these crazy, the hallmark of like major Facebook pages is you see these very, very vicious debates and name calling and all that. We pride ourselves on having that very, very, very much to a minimal, and that's without blocking people. We try to keep people on the pages to express their opinion in the hope that we will meet them where they are. We don't expect people to come on to our page and have maybe full knowledge of the gospel, or maybe they're not even Catholic. But we welcome them there. There's a good banter back and forth with some Lutherans who come on and give us some abuse. But if you take it in good humour and you don't take yourself too seriously, I think that's the key to it. Self-deprecation is something which is really important for us Catholics. Humility is very important when you're expressing the faith. And we have our faith. We shouldn't shy away from it. We put it out there, but we also shouldn't be in a position where we're judgmental of other people as well. We don't try and judge people. We try and just say, look, this is what we believe. Here's more information here. Very often, if people are writing comments, we take it to the message box and say, look, this is what's going on. This is why I wrote this. This is what this meant. And that can lead to a real encounter. I don't know if that helps. See what you're asking.
No, it really does. And one of the things I always, because anyone who does social media, for even if it's like your own social media, coming up with interesting creative content is really difficult. And that's one of the things that's always impressed me on a consistent basis with Sancta Familia. So, you know, obviously that first viral video you spoke about how to enter a church and about confession, and also when you did that kind of what would you call it, like when you went in dressed as Mary, Jesus and Joseph into that shopping center and stuff. So, you know, where do these ideas come from? Do you kind of storyboard when you're going to do an interesting video? What kind of advice would you have for people who want to think a bit more out of the box? Like, where do you get your inspirations from? Or I don't know if you could speak into that a little bit.
Yeah, so I think that one of the things people have a very prescriptive way of looking at social media. People, no offense to people who are older, but they have a kind of more, has to be just so, everything's scripted and everything has to be done. The key to me about social media is spontaneity. You have to be on the ball, ready to get posting, something that's relevant, because trends these days on the internet change so quickly. So regards to that thing you mentioned about the call it a protest, whatever you want, of the nativity scene in that shopping centre, that just came from discussions with other people about, this is terrible, the nativity scene's been banned. What's a funny way around it? Because humour is, as I say, a great method of disarming people who are against you, who want to find fault in you, you know. And the idea that we use humour to kind of, you know, make a fool of ourselves, who are dressed in kind of cheap clothes, walking about the supermarkets and the shops, asking people what they thought about nativity not being there, emphasised in a very humorous way, but in a real way, the ludicrous nature of that ban on the nativity in that shop. So that's just one aspect. If anyone's out there worries about social media, take your guard down a bit and say, you have to try and overemphasize. People love to overemphasize the pitfalls. Overemphasize in your mind the opportunities here. Take risks. I clearly see that line from Pope Francis, Agan Leo. You know, make a mess in the work of Sancta Familia. Make a mess, stir things up, not in a negative way, but in a positive way. You know, and that's the way I see it.
No, that's fantastic. All right, I'll let you finish up. But no, in case I don't get to say it, thank you so much, John, for everything you're doing with Sancta Familia. There's I know so many people in this conference, and many people I've spoken to are really grateful for your ministry. And thanks so much for your time and wisdom and expertise.
Thank you. Keep praying for me, Brendan, and good luck with your rest of your work as well.